Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, everyone. Today is the first day, and hopefully this goes well, that I'm using a new laptop to produce this video. Once I'm done recording on this video, and this will be a test of, I'm going to move my hands a lot and so forth, because in the past on the previous computer, I would lose frames in the video. And now this is barring any problems at the receiver end, at your end, where maybe sync gets lost or whatever, simply because they're long form videos. And there may be, with a slow internet connection, there can be, problems. But this is video problems at my end, where I have noticed that frames get dropped in the syncing of audio and video. And I've been struggling with that for the last year with my previous computer. I'm going to continue to use it for post-production to put together the video and upload it. But for recording, the speed of processor and the various components, the USBs, and all that, it's quite critical to make the original video completely unbroken and functional. So this is an experiment, and hopefully it all works. And for this experiment, I've chosen to talk briefly about the correct understanding and practice of Nichiren's doctrine. Bodhisattva Nichiren, our mentor, our modern day exemplar and mentor teacher for the correct practice of Shakyamuni's ultimate teaching of the Lotus Sutra. And so we'll just start with that right there, because there's a tremendous amount of confusion. And you will hear people refer to Nichiren practice as Nichiren Buddhism. And, I'm not offended by that or anything, but it's not accurate. So let's start with a clear understanding of what we're doing. Nichiren is no doubt a bodhisattva, a great, as I said earlier, our modern day mentor. But it's not his Buddhism. He didn't invent Buddhism or a branch of Buddhism or a sect of Buddhism. Now, right away, I'm going to hear people, yeah, but what about Nichiren Shoshu? And what about Nichiren Shu? And what about Rishoku? So on and so forth. Yeah, what about those? I've done videos on the separation between one of the 6 senior disciples or practitioners of Nichiren's teachings, splitting off from everyone else at Mount Minobu, which is where Nichiren it was centered for propagation, and went all the way to Mount Fuji to start his own version. And then with Mount Minobu, the remaining 5, they set up schools, and over time, hundreds of years, those were, you're dealing with human egos. So there are evolutions in several, so there are many sects of Buddhism, albeit founded through Nichiren, that disagree. So what's the bottom line? What are we trying to do? Are we a cult of personality? Are we just following a certain person? Oh, my neck. Sorry. I was pulling. Or are we trying to practice Shakyamuni's correct doctrine of Buddhist practice. I mean, that's the original, the founder, right? Hopefully we can all agree on that. So those groups or sects that would have you believe that Nichiren is either the original Buddha, total nonsense, or, and I'm sorry if you're tuning out already, but listen to me, or that Nichiren somehow reinvented Buddhism. Nichiren himself, and I've got hundreds of videos on this channel, reading through his letters, through different translations, mind you, about Nichiren's own identification as just a humble man, endeavoring to be a studious monk, which he certainly was, and a scholar, and every one of his elucidations, his writings, his topics that he nails on in medieval Japan, remember where we are now, he does almost nothing else other than quoting Shakyamuni to make his arguments. In other words, Nichiren doesn't argue something new. What Nichiren does is take the misinterpretation of his day and then use Shakyamuni's own words to go, how can you say what you're saying when right here in the words of Shakyamuni, you're blown away? You make no sense. This is the example, as we recite Gongyo, of the clear, correct transmission of Shakyamuni's teachings of the Dharma. And they culminate in the Lotus Sutra. That's what we practice, folks. Lotus Sutra Buddhism. Not Nichiren Buddhism, not Tendai Buddhism. We practice Lotus Sutra Buddhism. Nichiren is our modern teacher and scholar and aid in elucidating and making that practice straightforward and accurate to the words of Shakyamuni Buddha. Because Nichiren understood that Buddha is a mind state and it occurs naturally in us all the time, but we don't pay attention to it. And so he's given us the tools to create a samsaric thing to attach to, because we live in the age of attachments. We live in the age of constant distraction. Our grove of monkeys, in the words of Shakyamuni, has grown so huge that we can hardly hear ourselves, let alone observe the world around us, for the din and the largesse and the noise of the monkey mind. And so all Nichiren did, and I don't mean to dismiss it, it's super important, it is our way of accessing the true teachings of Shakyamuni by giving us a mandala so that we can glue our senses onto those characters of the mandala, which are an encompassing visual representation in concepts. Remember, the language he's using in these characters and calligraphies, although stylized, are an assemblage of each of the concepts and personages that Shakyamuni used throughout the Lotus Sutra to nail these mental functions that we need to dissect and build our own eye experience of the ultimate Dharma. And where is that ultimate Dharma? Namu, I am presently invoking Myoho Renge Kyo. The entire entirety of the Threefold Lotus Sutra. Not just the words, not just the content in words of the Threefold Lotus Sutra, the conceptual message of the Threefold Lotus Sutra. That's very different. We're not practicing magic words. We're not practicing words at all. What we're practicing is the core concept of the Dharma contained within or beneath or somehow visualize these words as meaning, as clues, as dissections of the very phenomena of everything in the universe. How does life function? What is it at its root? And by doing so, you might ask, what we accomplish isn't a scientific PhD. What we accomplish by seeing something clearly, and this applies to everything in life, when we truly understand how something functions, then all of the various opinions and monkeys and distractions and misinterpretations and cloudiness, well, it just disappears. You don't even hear it anymore because you know. That knowing, that's Buddha wisdom. That's prajna. It doesn't happen in the brain. It happens in your conceptual understanding of how life. And what Nichiren has done is repeat the same thing, but given us a form that we, distracted humans, can utilize as, what did Nichiren always call it? A mirror. A mirror doesn't invent anything. It just reflects it. And that's what this mandala is. This is why I'm so particular that the mandala that you use is from Nichiren's hand, not some guy running some organization or some temple or some sect. I'm not practicing his mirror of my enlightenment with his name on it and so forth. You can't tell because you read English or French or whatever, and it's not on this mandala. But he'll put it on there. Here I am. I'm the new Nichiren. The hell you are. I'm practicing Nichiren's perfect transmission of the correct Dharma per Shakyamuni. Nichiren didn't invent anything on that mandala. He just made the mandala a clear reflector of what Shakyamuni was saying. We are practicing Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra Buddhism. Nichiren is our modern mentor. He gives us this tool. Let's use his tool, yeah? So, first of all, set up the altar. There are directions on doing that on threefoldlotus.com, right? Setting up an altar. Then get yourself, and it's freely available. Well, not free, but it costs to print stuff. So, but it's very economical. Just get yourself various sizes. There's even a travel version on cafepress.com/gohanzan. Get yourself a true mandala. It's a digital representation of an extant in Nichiren's hand mandala. That's the one you want. That's what we're practicing, yeah? The tool that we want anyway. Yeah? Okay, so now you've got an altar, you've enshrined and there's a link in threefoldlotus.com/home/home.htm where all those buttons are for different questions, which, by the way, you'll refer to a lot because what is Daimoku? What does it mean? How does it work? The 5 factors, the 3, all these basic beginner questions, they're all on that page. And there's PDFs you can download or links you can follow that will get you to answers. Answers good enough to get you going and that you can use when other people ask you questions. So it's a great resource and it's free. Okay? Where was I? Okay, so you've got your, and the enshrinement, right? I think the button says altar and enshrinement or just enshrinement. Anyway, Download those instructions and you'll have a map on how to create your altar, what everything means. There's also a button on the 108 beads or the juzu, the beads, so you understand the beads, which ones to get and which ones not to, or make your own. There's a diagram. The point of this channel and everything connected to this channel is to be a resource for your practice. All right? That's what I'm doing here. It's not about me, it's about my practice, because this is the closest thing I can do to my bodhisattva work, and I'm able to do it. So Namo Myoho Renge Kyo for that. But it's about your practice. All of this I want to share with you as Sangha, to share my insights, my knowledge, my practice, my foibles, all of it, so that we can all practice correctly. And what are we practicing correctly? Shakyamuni's teaching, Dharma, in the culminating teaching of his life, the Lotus Sutra, the Threefold Lotus Sutra. Why do I say threefold? Because there's an opening sutra, the innumerable meanings, and a closing sutra, right? The meditations on Bodhisattva Universal Virtue. They go by different names, and I discuss that. I have playlists on this channel just for the Lotus Sutra, so you can go chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and I go through every single bit of the Threefold Lotus Sutra, discussing it from the vantage point of our practice, yeah? With Nichiren's enlightenment, Nichiren's doctrines and insights, right? That's what we're doing. So once you have the altar, once you have the mandala, then you need to understand what you're doing. What is the Daimoku? Again, answers on threefoldlotus.com. How does it work? How does it remove the distractions, all our 8 senses that are busily gathering data and identifying with everything? How do we transcend that? The 9th consciousness, the Buddha consciousness. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. We instantiate it. So the consciousnesses, what are those? What do you mean 9? I heard of the 10 worlds, but what's the 9 consciousnesses? Again, the building blocks of our understanding in our practice is what deepens our conviction that this practice is it. This is how we transcend all the noise and the monkeys. Okay? And you can do it. It's already part and parcel of who you are. It's just, as usual, we're humans, we're distracted, and we need such an incontrovertible assemblage of knowledge that our conviction cannot be swayed. And what is the number one of the, there are 3 pillars, and Nichiren talks about them all the time. So did Shakyamuni. So you got to have conviction. You got to have resolve. You got to know that what you're doing isn't just a game, a ritual belonging to a club. What are you doing this for? For pats on the back? Get your head right. Pats in the back are meaningless. Usually they mean you've kowtowed to somebody else's agenda. If you want to be an enlightened being, if you want to be truly free and liberated and understand deeply the preciousness of life and all the phenomena of the universe, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. This is it. That's how to practice Nichiren's doctrine of the Lotus Sutra and Shakyamuni's ultimate teaching. I hope that makes sense. And I hope whatever questions have popped up in your mind as you listen to me, you'll find answers to on threefoldlotus.com. Use the search criteria on this channel. Go to the homepage of this channel, and right in the middle of the page where it says videos and playlists and about and whatever else it says there, you'll see a little magnifying glass. Use that search because that stays within the channel. That's true of all YouTube channels, by the way. If you use the search at the top, it searches all of YouTube. Oh, who knows what you'll find. But if you stay within the look, we're heading toward 900 videos on this channel. So There's lots of information. You'll find everything you're looking for here. I'm not trying to prohibit you from looking elsewhere. I'm trying to help you use this resource well, okay? Some of the videos are like a decade old. That's why I'm doing this one again. I did a video like this a good decade ago that's on this channel. But, you know, live and learn. A decade goes by and my language changes. My perceptions change. The way I explain things changes. They're still based on the same thing, so I'm not going to take those videos down. But this one is more true and contemporary to the language that I use now, which, as I continue to chant, gets better. From my experience, being as truthful and honest as I can, without holding back, expressing for our Sangha my experience of Namyo Renge Kyo. So conviction, back to what I was saying. Convictions, how do you have conviction? How do you truly feel motivated by knowing what you're doing? Some of you don't need that much convincing. Some of you will read through and understand and chant and get immediate feelings of knowing just from chanting to your mandala in your altar. And that's precious. I don't discount that at all. But when doubts arise, when you're struggling during your day and you think, oh, why do I take up all that space in that room just for a butsudan and mandala? You know, is it really working? How can I tell if it's really working? That's what we do. That's our monkeys. That's our human life. Well, the only thing that combats those doubts or those feelings of not sureness, it's information. It's dialogue. It's sharing our doubts. And it's finding answers that Nichiren provides us, Shakyamuni provides us, that are in this teaching. And when we read about a certain personage, right? Because everything in Buddhism is about the mind, attitude and intent, attitude and intent. What are you thinking? How are you thinking it? And how are you applying it in your life? Or are you? These are the critical points of Buddhism, right? This is a pragmatic, day-to-day, how do I live this life fully program, philosophy, way of living. That's what Buddhism is. It may look like rituals, but the rituals are not the meaning. What we enact and invoke when we chant. Why do we have incense? Why do we have candles? What is all that about? All the answers are available to you. And the more answers you have, the more you go, oh, I understand. I can move forward. That's the benefit of the Sangha. That's what I'm trying to do here, is create such a solid resource to answer every question you may have. And believe me, I go out there. So not every video is for you. Every video is made for you. But at the point in your practice where you need encouragement, you need to feel, okay, I know why I'm doing this and I know how to do it. That is part and parcel of the way Buddhism works. If you don't understand what you're doing or aren't inspired to do what you're doing, and you're just kind of lackadaisically going, oh, I can chant Namyo Renge Kyo, and you're not focused, then you're just playing a game. So how do you get focused? Practice correctly. Practice with conviction. Demand from your practice Buddha-ness. Demand results. And when things seem to explode in your life, if you don't have that conviction, you might quit. which is unacceptable. You cannot quit your life, right? Enlightenment is about this life and getting every precious moment out of it. So if you quit this practice, you're kind of turning your back and going, nah, I'll just fall through life and wait to see what hits me in the face, and then I'll react when that happens. That's what most people do. As Buddhists, when things explode and happen to us, we can sit back and giggle and go, oh man, I need to fix that. And I can fix that. See, that's major. When you have that kind of conviction, there's nothing you can't handle, because it's all coming from your life anyway. And if it's there and it's displayed for you to see, then, what person with a 2-inch wide pimple on their face wouldn't want to pop that sucker? Right? I mean, that's gross, but life is gross sometimes. And we have challenges that hit us, knock us right on our butts. With this practice, you can stop being emotional, frightened, scared, doubtful. Because all of that comes from falsely experiencing what's actually happening. When you actually understand these things that come up in your life, you can see them as reminders of energies in your life that need to be redressed, that need to be cleansed. What words can we use? Ultimately, our goal is a wonderful life where everything is just amazing because it belongs, because it is not insurmountable. It is an experience in this life. It is amazing for its own reasons. And all of those opinions and fears, they just melt away. Because that's what our samsaric possessing self wants to make of it. I'm losing it. You never lose anything. Ooh, I want more of that. Why? It's already there. It's a great big attitude adjustment. And with that new attitude, your intent becomes so clear. What am I going to do about it? Oh. How am I going to all the questions, the 5 W's that they talk about in journalism school or writing school, right? How, where, why, when, all of them. They simply resolve into, oh, I know. What an amazing practice. So I encourage you, dive into it, use it, demand of it to enlighten you. Don't be lazy about it. Be absolutely. Where conviction doesn't take place any more powerfully than it does when you demand of something to work. Think of the conviction you have to have, the resolve you have to demand of something to happen. Don't you have to believe and understand that it's going to happen by demanding it? So I often point that out. People ask me, what should be my attitude when I chant? Focus on Myoho and demand your Buddha-ness, your enlightenment. Demand it. Don't think about the color of your carpet or the condition of your car or relationships or anything. That's samsaric. That's not Buddhism. If somebody tells you can chant for stuff, walk away. They have no idea what Buddhism is. Wanting stuff is the very thing we're trying to quell. Shut up, monkeys. I have everything, and whatever I need will come to me effortlessly because I am coursing as a bodhisattva through the world with Buddha-ness. And when you're in that kind of concert with life itself, right? Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Thanks for listening. Thank you for investigating. Thank you for your practice. If you got something out of this video, please like, subscribe. I invite you to subscribe. I don't care about notification bells and stuff. That's up to you. The subscription part is already your bodhisattva work because you help the algorithms make this channel more obviated to more people. That's propagation. Might as well, right? I mean, might as well, not as an aside, but if you're going to practice, practice. Do it. Right? There's avenues, yes, you'll see the links on the video for PayPal and for Patreon, which I post all of these videos on as well. They're all linked to YouTube anyway. There's no fee to go to Patreon, but it is an engine that provides the opportunity for you to donate either a singular or multiple, recurring donation. Super, super helpful to keeping this endeavor going, this resource growing. And if you have suggestions, please, if you have suggestions on areas or things you're looking for that you can't find on the channel, I'll put the links in there for you. I'll find them. Ask me in the comments or email me directly at tlksylvain@gmail.com. Yeah, all of those links are in the video. You're certainly capable of reading them for yourselves. I'm just encouraging you. And once again, thanking you very much. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Take care of your health. Be kind to yourself. And I can't wait to see you in the next one, okay? All right. Bye for now.